Good evening, and welcome to tonight's program, Asian Glow and Cancer Risk, Asian Alcohol Intolerance and Health, and What Every Asian Adult Should Know, a virtual talk with Stanford research scientist Dr. Chi-Hong Chen on Asian alcohol intolerance. I'm Katie G. Salisbury, the board president of the Stanford Asian Pacific American Alumni Club, also known as SAPAAC. And first, I'll make a few quick words about our organization before we get into tonight's event. So established in 1989, SAPAC has historically been one of Stanford University's largest ethnic affinity groups and one of the largest alumni organizations with nearly 3,000 members. We are dedicated to connecting Asian American and Pacific Islander alumni to the university and to each other. Membership empowers you to attend numerous events in your region, engage with a thriving alumni community, and receive the latest communications about our alma mater from an AAPI perspective. And membership is also free, I should add. If you are a Stanford alumni who is tuning in and you're not already a SAPAC member, we encourage you to join the club and sign up for our monthly newsletter. I will put a link in the chat later on about how you can do that. And if you are a member, feel free to also get your friends and classmates to join if they're not already a part of SAPAC. We have a pretty robust slate of events scheduled, events like this one, both virtual and in person, for this fall and well into next year. So to learn more about it, you can go to our website, which is sapac.org. And now I'll turn things over to my colleague and fellow board member, Sheila Wang.
Thank you, Katie. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight. Really happy to see the community involvement. I serve on the CPAC board along with Katie. She's our president. And for the past 5 years, I served also on a Stanford Center for Asian Health Center board president. I want to say a few words before going into talking about alcohol intolerance tonight. The Center for Asian Health was founded largely through community efforts and philanthropic efforts. It is a center of its own kind, focused on Asian health. And as you know, Asians in America account for about roughly 6%. And as a result, even though we're about 60% of the world's population, so as a result, a lot of the clinical and pharmaceutical testings and research do not contain Asian data. And that is why it is especially important with the works like Dr. Chi-Hong Chen looking at something that is very Asian specific, alcohol flush. What is that about? Plus other diseases that affect disproportionately more the Asian population. So I just, can express how happy I am to see community involvement. We had over 140 people register for the event, and we have a center dedicated to working on Asian health. So I'm very happy to see all our efforts and our forces coming together to promote and also protect Asian health and also our voices and our well-being. Let me introduce our speakers tonight. I am very honored to introduce Dr. Chi-Hong Chen, who is a senior scientist and geneticist at Stanford, and also the founder of Alcohol Intolerance and Cancer Awareness Program. It's a worldwide program. Chi-Hong is a world-leading expert in the research on the Asian ALDH gene mutation and its pathology. And the importance of his work really goes beyond being cited and being published. There are national days dedicated now because of his efforts. For instance, Taiwan, a small nation, but a very strong nation in terms of its public health, where it offers, public coverage, health coverage for all of its citizens. In the past couple of years, dedicated May 9th, 5.9, as a no alcohol day, largely because of Dr. Chen's work. And we're hoping to see more of that information, being empowered for Asians to know about. So we're very honored to have them tonight. I also want to give a quick shout out to Ms. Shifeng Wang, who works as the executive director for the Stanford Asian for the alcohol intolerance program. She's a key person on strategic partnership and outreach. And I encourage you to contact her even after the call to find out more about the APAC program. Shifeng is also an advisor to multiple startups, some of them founded by Stanford School of Medicine physicians in the efforts to accelerate healthcare deliverables. So it's our pleasure to have them both here tonight. And without further ado, I'll hand it over to Dr. Chi-Hong Chen.
Thank you. Thank you, Shifeng. Should I turn my camera on? Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone, and good evening. I'm really very honored to be invited to this talk. I'm Che Hong. I know some of you are probably on the East Coast. It's already 8 p.m. And I hope for the next 30 minutes, we will share something fun and we'll all learn together something new, introducing to you a very Asian-specific phenomenon and related to alcohol. So I'm going to share my screen now. Yes. Okay. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight. I show 3 pictures here. You probably see some of you, your friends, and maybe yourself like that. As we are a group of Asian Pacific Stanford alumni group, my estimate is that 30%, 40% of our audience will have this reaction after you drink alcohol. You can see that on the left is a Japanese after one sip of wine. And in the middle is myself. When I was younger, I took a beer. At that time, I didn't know what does it mean to be have alcohol glow. I don't know what does that affect my health. And now I know. And on the right, it's a picture that I taken out from Australian Drug Abuse and Alcohol Research Center. And see, this is what we're going to talk about. And to make our talk a little bit more fun, I prepare a short quiz of yes and no. I will pause to give you a few seconds to see how you're going to answer these 5 questions. First question, moderate alcohol drinking is good for health. Second question, we hear very, very often, red wine, it's good. If you drink a little bit, not too much, can protect your heart. And also we hear very often, especially in Asian culture, in Asian countries, that alcohol glow is a sign of good health. That many common people feel that if you drink and you have a red face, that means your circulation is good. Your liver can process alcohol much faster. That's why your alcohol, it goes out of your body system faster. And so alcohol flushing is a good thing. And then very often people will tell their friends, say, it's okay, just keep drinking. After you train a month or 2, you can increase your tolerance and you won't feel as bad when you have alcohol flushing. And lastly, it's alcohol a carcinogen. And so I'm going to give you the answer. The first one, of course, we don't no longer suggest people to drink alcohol, moderate alcohol drinking. This has been very well publicized a few years ago, even on TV shows, magazines. There's a lot of talk. Even doctors advise their patients to consume alcohol moderately as long as they don't do too much. Secondly, red wine can protect your heart. Right now, we're showing that the effect of red wine to your heart protection is very, very minimal, may not be existing at all. Thirdly, alcohol flushing definitely is not a sign of good health. It actually is the opposite, and I will explain to you why. And the fourth question also wrong, that alcohol flushing, alcohol glow cannot be trained because this is a genetic problem. We are born with it. It's in our DNA. No matter how much you drink, how hard you train, you cannot overcome it. It just increases your risk of cancer and disease. And lastly, it's a correct one, that alcohol indeed is a carcinogen, and many people do not know about it. So alcohol, it's really a silent killer that not very well publicized. Many people do not pay attention to it. We pay attention to a lot of other lifestyle factors like tobacco smoking. That's well known. And you can see here, WHO statistics shows that 3 million people died from alcohol use each year. That's on the average of 6 deaths every minute in the world that people die from drinking alcohol. This is directly from drinking alcohol. If they stop drinking, they will not die. so they can prevent the death. And you see that alcohol causes a lot of problems. On the left, mainly it's affecting our behavioral, like addiction. 18% of suicide, it's involved with alcohol drinking. 20%, 1/3 of traffic injuries, accidents also involve alcohol. So you see that on the left, and mainly it's the effect of alcohol to our brain, to our behavior. On the right, it's really a much bigger problem that is affecting our health. You probably don't think you drink a lot, but what I'm going to tell you today, I hope will change what you think. That on the right, you can see that alcohol causes many different types of cancer, liver cirrhosis, and also many other diseases, cardiovascular disease. And I wrote at the bottom, on the left, this problem affected by behavioral effect is mainly due to alcohol. On the right, that damage our health, injuring our organs are not from alcohol directly, but really is the metabolite from alcohol. When we drink alcohol, it's converted into this metabolite called acetaldehyde that cause all this health problem that's on the right-hand side of this diagram. And you can see that almost 180,000 people died from drinking alcohol in the US. Tremendous economic burden, cost nearly $250 billion. This including the health cost, the loss of life, the loss of productivity. Just emergency department visit alone, there are more than 4 million ER visits from alcohol drinking. And then lastly, alcohol is one of the most common preventable risk factors to reduce premature death. So this is really a big problem that's not being talked about too much. So I like to really raise people's awareness about alcohol, especially in the Asian community. And I will tell you why, because we carry this mutation. And also it's very important if you consume alcohol, I think you should know how much you drink. It's just like, when you drink, you take sugar, you need to know how many grams of sugar you are taking. A can of a Coke, it's about 36 grams of sugar you are drinking every day. Like how much salt you are taking. So I think more and more we need to pay attention about how much alcohol you actually drink and in terms of grams. And there's a very easy way to calculate how much intake of alcohol you consume into grams. And this is a chart very easy to memorize, used by the National Institute of Health, NIH of the United States. It's defined a standard of alcohol drinking as 14 grams of pure alcohol. And that's the amount of about 1 can of beer, or 1 glass of wine, about 150 mLs, or 1 shot of whiskey. If you calculate the percentage of alcohol in each different type of beverage and the volume and the density of alcohol, which is 0.79, you can derive the gram of pure alcohol you are consuming. And so 1 standard drink in the US is defined as 14 grams of alcohol. And moderate alcohol drinking that has been recommended for years, it's equivalent to 28 grams, 2 drinks per day for men, and also recommended for women to drink 1 glass of wine. It's okay. Many years ago, that's 14 grams. On the right, I just put out some data from the World Bank to show you how much each country consume alcohol each year per person. So this is per capita alcohol consumption in each different country. You can see that the yellow region highlights all the East Asian, South Asian countries. In the middle is the US, and then a region that has heavy alcohol consumption, that's the Eastern Europe. Then you can see that by and large, East Asian countries drink less alcohol. The highest alcohol consumption country in Asia is by far now Vietnam. Its alcohol drinking culture, its consumption, it's increasing every year. The next one, Korea. China was serious a few years ago. It was up to 7.2 liters just 5-6 years ago, but because of economy, now in 2020, 2022, it has come down to about 4.6 liters. So just information for you is that, yes, Asian countries drink less alcohol on average compared to other countries in the world. However, this year, I think a very important message promoted by the US Surgeon General is to talk about alcohol and cancer. Because one fact is that very few American adults, less than half of the American adults, knows that alcohol can cause cancer. Not only alcohol can cause cancer, it causes many types of common cancers. So the US Surgeon General has been trying to tell people that alcohol is a carcinogen, that we need to be aware of that. And then he also encouraged that we need to begin to put alcohol cancer warning label in the consumer's product. And so this is something that's very important, and we hope we can do this together to help to put the alcohol cancer warning label. So this is similar to tobacco. You can see that 90% of the US adults knows that tobacco smoking causes cancer. Even the second smoke can cause cancer. Radiation, very well known. We know that X-ray causes cancer, UV light causes cancer. But you see that alcohol ranked the bottom. Only 45% of the US adults knows that alcohol is a carcinogen. So this is very important for us to know. And what type of cancer that it's affected by alcohol? And you can see that it's mainly where the alcohol passage to your body from the way of your oral cavity, then larynx, pharynx, then passed down to your esophagus. These are the highly risky area of cancer induced by alcohol drinking. Then down to your stomach, liver, and colorectal cancer. These are all related to alcohol drinking, directly caused by alcohol drinking. Also, very importantly for women, breast cancer. Alcohol can cause breast cancer directly, and many people do not know about that. And then you may think that you have to drink a lot of alcohol to get cancer. However, now the science and research has shown that even light to moderate alcohol drinking can cause cancer. About 20% of all the cancers that I talked about, this digestive tract cancer, is from people who drink not much, just perhaps 1 drink per day or 2 drinks per day, as recommended by the government many years ago. So moderate alcohol drinking causes 25% of all the cancers related to alcohol. If you drink alcohol, also smoke tobacco at the same time, this risk will increase 5-fold, even more, 30 times with heavy drinking for smokers and alcohol drinkers. So the message number 1 I would like to share with you today, and hope you remember if you don't know yet, that alcohol is a very dangerous type of carcinogen. In fact, WHO classifies it as group 1 carcinogen. That's the most dangerous type of carcinogen that one can be exposed to. Number 2, WHO and all the government health officials now is telling people that there's really no safe level of alcohol drinking. And the risk starts from the first glass of alcohol you drink. Every glass, every can of beer you drink increase the risk of alcohol, increase the risk of cancer. And so we need to remember that alcohol is a carcinogen. There's really no safe amount of alcohol drinking. And here, showing why it's relevant to the East Asian populations. This is a paper published by Lancet Oncology just a few years ago, showing the cancer burden caused by alcohol drinking. You can see that East Asian countries rank number 1 at the top, has the most alcohol-induced cancer globally, almost twice as high as United States. In United States, 4% of all cancer cases are caused by alcohol drinking. Whereas if you go to the East Asian region, this becomes like 1 out of 12 cases of all cancers from alcohol drinking. That means about 8% of all cancers. If we prevent alcohol drinking, we can reduce 8% of all cancer cases in the United States and globally, especially in East Asian countries. And why is that? We know that East Asian country, I show you that we drink probably on the average less than half of people in the US or East Asian country or the East Europeans. And this is because we carry this unique mutation in our DNA that cannot be trained, that we are born with, and it's only mostly limited to the East Asian, Southeast Asian genetic ancestry group. First of all, why alcohol can cause cancer? And as I show you, it's not really directly from alcohol, but from its metabolite, this metabolite called acetaldehyde. When we drink alcohol, every time we drink, alcohol is quickly metabolized into acetaldehyde by an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase. And normally this acetaldehyde can be metabolized very rapidly by another enzyme, very strong in our, very abundant in our liver, called aldehyde dehydrogenase, a gene called ALDH2. If aldehyde does not metabolize quickly, it will attack our DNA. It will stick to our DNA like a chewing gum. That this aldehyde will bind to your DNA, and we call it a DNA adduct. And when DNA needs to be replicated, when our cell divides, there will be a mutation. And you will introduce a mutation, and every time you drink alcohol, there's some DNA get attacked by acetaldehyde, and there's some degree of DNA mutation. The more you drink, the more mutation probability. And this is why this mutation is so dangerous to the East Asians, because we have a genetic mutation in the ALDH2 gene, and just one single point mutation. This makes our enzyme inactive, not able to metabolize acetaldehyde. Therefore, every time we drink, very quickly in 15 minutes in our blood, we accumulate very high concentration of acetaldehyde, and that causes our facial flushing because it also makes vasodilation. So we will have also rapid heart rate. We will also get the headache, vomiting, all from the toxicity of acetaldehyde. And we call this phenomenon alcohol intolerance in a medical term. Of course, in the common term, it's alcohol flow or alcohol flushing. This mutation is very, very common. It's traced back about 3,000 years ago. One single ancestor in the China region, about Southeast Asia, China region, one person has this random mutation about 3,000 years ago. And after 3,000 years ago, about 100 generations, this mutation now spread to all the Southeast Asian region. And on the map, I show you the prevalence of people carry this ALDH2 mutations. In Japan, 40%, Taiwan, 50%, almost half of the population. Vietnam, 30%. Singapore also very high because it's mainly the Han Chinese descendants will have a high probability of having this mutation, all the way to China, Korea, even northbound to Mongolia. 8% of Mongolian also carry this Han Chinese specific mutation. Having this mutation, it's very dangerous when you drink alcohol. Here on the chart showing you two lines indicating the risk of having cancer by the amount of drink you drink. The blue line is people who are non-East Asian, in other words, people who do not carry the Flushing mutation. The red line are people like me carry the Flushing mutation, and the y-axis is how many times increase of chance to get cancer. If you drink one drink per day, 2 drinks per day and 3 drinks per day, you can see that your chance of getting digestive tract cancer increased by 5-fold, 40 times, as much as 7 times if you consume 3 drinks per day and having the mutation at the same time. Not only mutation, but it also causes many types of disease. Of course, our program like to raise awareness about cancer, but in fact, carrying the alcohol glow, Asian glow, or this mutation, you are more susceptible to alcohol toxicity, and you will contract these diseases all the way from the neurodegenerative disease, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, gout, stroke, hearing loss. There are many, many diseases associated with having this mutation if you drink alcohol. Now, the good news is that if you don't drink alcohol, this mutation is pretty much benign. You probably can live as long as people who do not have the mutation. There's no statistical difference in terms of longevity for people who have mutation and don't have mutation if they don't consume alcohol. So that's the good news for people like us to know. So message number 2 for you to remember is that if you carry the alcohol glow mutation, you should avoid alcohol as much as possible because it will cause cancer. It will cause many types of serious disease and affect your health. So I hope these messages are useful to you. And you're probably curious, other than this picture of facial flushing, is there any way to test if I have alcohol intolerance mutation or not? And yes, indeed, there's a very quick way of alcohol intolerance test. We call it the Band-Aid patch test. You can do this at home, and it's very simple to do. All you need to do is to have a Band-Aid, and you have an alcohol pad like this, the alcohol wipe, and you put it on the forearm, like me, what I have done. You can see that. You just tape the alcohol wipe, fold it into a quarter, tape it in a Band-Aid for about 15 minutes. And since I carry the mutation, I already can see that I have a very, very obvious red spot, maybe not showing very well on the camera, but here is a picture. That is my forearm. After 10 minutes of contacting the alcohol and sealed by the piece of tape, you can see very strong reaction when I touch alcohol. And this is 80–70% accurate to know that you have alcohol intolerance genetically. So if you don't want to run a genetic test, you can do this at home. And with a very, very nice and easy kit for you to use. All you need is a tape and a piece of alcohol wipe. And we have a very simple instruction for you. If you are interested, you can contact me or you can do this at home. And of course, our program at Stanford, we are trying to promote genetic tests also because we think that having a genetic test will help protect the East Asian and Southeast Asian population from the toxicity of alcohol, acetaldehyde, to prevent cancer. So we have also come up with a very rapid, non-invasive ALDH2 genetic test. But right now, it's not very widely available in the hospital or provided by the health insurance providers. And this is something that we like to advocate to encourage hospitals to begin to provide this genetic test. You don't even need a blood. All we need to do is to get a swab from your mouth, and we can directly test it by a PCR reaction, and you can get a result within 1 hour, and for sure to know whether you carry this mutation or not. So this is something that through CARE, through the ICARE program, we try to promote and really hope that you can also participate to help us to talk about this. And lastly, I would just like to share with you, knowing all this message, number one, alcohol is a carcinogen, that there's no safe level of alcohol drinking. Number two, if you carry this mutation, you are very susceptible to cancer from alcohol drinking. Should we drink alcohol at all? How much is safe? And so this is the current and most current guideline that's been adopted by the Canadian government. I think it's a good step forward. Rather than moderate drinking, never do moderate drinking anymore. Now we know that you have a 10% or 10% of cancer patients are from people who drink moderately. And so we try to encourage people now to limit. Rather than 2 drinks per day, we will reduce to 1 to 2 drinks per week. So in other words, you can occasionally still enjoy a glass of wine or a can of beer or shot of whiskey at happy hours or parties, but don't do it often. Maybe limit yourself 1 to 2 drinks per week. And if you carry this mutation, I would even recommend that be more stringent, more vigilant about how much alcohol you drink. Definitely, probably even lower than 1 to 2 drinks per week. Occasionally, New Year's Day or birthday, maybe enjoy a glass of wine. But if you can avoid altogether, that's even better. So that's really all the message I would like to share with you. And the last few minutes, I would just like to also share with you my program at Stanford University with the support of Shifong and Sheila here, that we have launched the Alcohol Intolerance and Cancer Awareness Program. This is the first program, I think, globally to talk about this, especially targeting the East Asian genetic ancestry group to raise awareness through education and screening. So if you are interested, we really like to have your support, whether your time to help us. We are trying to build an international network, and it's rapidly growing and expanding. After 1 year of launch, we already have interest from all these countries, from US, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and China. And so there are a lot of interest to promote this because this really is a genetic ancestry group specific problem, and we need to raise awareness among this group. And after 1 year, we are very happy to see that we have a lot of outreach activity going on, and we continue to work with the universities. We work with also the government, health organization, nonprofit organization. We try to build a network to spread our word as much as possible, and even advocacy. And we rely heavily on social media and community outreach. Here are just examples. If you are interested, now you can search alcohol flushing Stanford, a news report from the Washington Post. This week, even the National Geographic has an interview story about alcohol flushing. And so I would like to also just let you encourage you to participate. Our ICAP leadership team, it's all Stanford faculties and physicians, in addition to Shifong here and also Sheila, who are our strong supporters. And we'd like to invite you also to support us. To join us, really to prevent alcohol-related cancer in the Asian populations. And I believe through our efforts, our awareness, and our action, that we can save life to prevent cancer and have a healthy life. And in summary, I just like to share with you the few key messages I share you today. If you want to learn more, I welcome questions. Just a quick review that alcohol is a carcinogen. There's no safety level of alcohol drinking. We should drink as little as possible. And then adopt the new Canadian government guideline to drink less than 2 drinks per week. Limit yourself. If you can reduce right away, I would suggest you slowly reduce the amount. And then if you can altogether stop drinking, that would be good. Especially if you carry the AI, the alcohol intolerance, the genetic problem, and promote a no alcohol lifestyle. Also help us to promote a no alcohol day. Right now, there's a movement in the US and United Kingdom called Dry January movement, that we try to refrain from alcohol drinking for 1 month, and that's a good start. And many people say that they stop drinking after 1 month. They are much happier. They feel healthier. They don't lose sleep. They don't have gouts, and then they are so much happier. So I really like to encourage you to help us and promote a no alcohol day. For example, Sheila mentioned that this is very successfully launched in Taiwan, and each year it's getting more and more participation from the government, from hospitals, from the citizens. You can see that even a bus in Taipei, a city bus, showing it's a no alcohol day for May 9th, because May 9th sounds like Wujiu in Mandarin Chinese. That's exactly no alcohol. So this is very good, interesting, and I really like to invite you to support us at the end. If you are interested in supporting us, we have a website. You can scan the QR code, will lead you to our website. And today, I would like to also share with you, we even have a t-shirt to give it to you. If you're interested in supporting our movement, ICAP, I'm more than happy to mail you a Stanford t-shirt, plus 5 very nice alcohol patch tests. And you just need to click the donation and make sure that you designate this donation. Make sure you write for alcohol intolerance and the cancer awareness program. And your donation, your time, and your interest will really support us. And you are also welcome to write to me. My email, it's posted there, chairhong@stanford.edu. I encourage you to donate $200 to get this t-shirt, but any amount really is welcome. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope this presentation is helpful to you, and I can take questions now. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Well, thank you, Dr. Chen, for such an informative presentation. I learned a lot myself. We have a few questions already, but others, if you do have questions, feel free to post those in the chat, or you can raise your hand and ask one live. But the first question we have is from Larry Yang. And so he says, it's very surprising that alcohol consumption is less per capita in Asia than in the US. It seems like a much more important part of doing business in Asia than in the US. So, not drinking during a business function in Asia feels much less acceptable than in the US. Can you comment on that?
Yes, I agree with you. This is a very, very culturally related, not just for business, but lifestyle. In Japan, for example, in Korea, very common culture is they call it the hosik. It's to eat after work together with friends, with your colleagues, and very often you have to drink. So I agree, it's really much difficult to change that culture in East Asia, and that's why even more so we need to do the cultural change. It's really a cultural change. Not easy, but slowly I hear now the younger generation in Asia, for example, Japan and Korea, they are the Gen Z, Gen X, are drinking much less because they understand more about medical knowledge about health, knowing that alcohol drinking is really damaging your health. And frankly, I would like to say this amounts to cultural bullying in the East Asian culture. For example, in Japan, in Taiwan, Korea, many years ago, it's very hard to refuse your boss to ask you to drink. And I think also it's true in the business setting that very hard to say if you don't drink, you don't drink, drink up, bottom up, I don't want to do business to you. But I think now with the genetic tests in Taiwan, we try this strategy. It works very effectively. After you do the genetic test, you have a certificate. You can show to your friends asking you to drink, saying that, hey, this is a carcinogen. I have this mutation. It's really for my own protection. It's not like I don't want to drink or I'm impolite, but really alcohol is a carcinogen. And I think if you want to also relate it to this, you can use tobacco smoking as an example. 50 years ago, I think smoking is also a social lubricant for business, that you have to smoke together to talk of business, to social with your friends. Because at that time, we didn't know tobacco smoking is so dangerous, will cause lung cancer. But now we see that it's been dramatically changed, that the restaurants don't even allow you to smoke. And so it's a long way to go, but I hope we will be the group that dare to take the first step to change the culture.
So our next question is from Cynthia Dye, and she asks, what about Asians who don't flush? Is the risk the same? And I guess, is it possible to not flush and still have the mutation?
Yes, as I presented, don't think that you don't have the flushing, you can drink. So number one, the number one message is that alcohol is a carcinogen no matter who you are. So your cancer risk is high, but not as high as people have the mutation. That's the difference. So the number for you to remember is maybe 5 times more. If you drink the same amount of alcohol, for the risk for people who don't have mutation is 5 times higher. For people who have mutation is 25 times higher. So it's just a matter of degree. So don't think that you can drink if you don't have the mutation. So.
Good advice. So we have two other questions that are related, so I'll try to combine them. Betty O asks, how about food made with alcohol, like rum cake or tiramisu? And David also asks, are there, other than types of drinks that you have mentioned, are there hidden sources of alcohol in common foods that we normally consume?
Yes. So in terms of food and the dessert, I think it's safe to consume that little amount of alcohol because that really very low amount of alcohol. In the Chinese condition culture or Chinese culture, I know people after childbirth, typically the culture is to have the use, they call it the sesame oil chicken soup, and they add a lot of alcohol to the soup for the women who just gave birth. The myth is that they will increase their milk production, which is not no scientific basis. But nevertheless, I think it's okay to consume that as long as you don't do it every day, because that's really very low amount. Also, when you cook, for example, stir fry your vegetable or fruit, you add some rice wine, that's perfectly okay because it's really not that much. And also at high temperature, acetaldehyde and alcohol will evaporate. So what you are eating is really just the flavor, not much alcohol or acetaldehyde that you are consuming. Um, Other type of drink that's in disguise in Asian countries, I noticed that there are many type of beverage. They don't put it under the beverage section. They put it into the nutraceutical section. But you need to watch out that a lot of product I see even have 10% of alcohol content, but it's not marketed as alcoholic beverage. It's marketed as a nutraceutical a product. So you need to watch out. So I would suggest you read the label, really read the label of the nutritional information of what you buy. Kombucha has a little bit of alcohol. You also need to read that. It could have high content of alcohol, maybe 1-2%. The US regulation is that if there's more than 1% of alcohol content, it has to be labeled. That's the FDA regulation in the US.
Great. I'll just read a quick comment from Joe Lee. He said, this presentation was crazily eye-opening. Thank you. And then from Mark Louie, we have a question. How high is the cancer risk for an East Asian if a person does not have alcohol intolerance? Which I think you answered, but maybe you could go over that. And I guess to just qualify the question was, is it similar for someone who doesn't have the alcohol intolerance, an East Asian person who doesn't have alcohol intolerance, is the risk similar to that of a Caucasian?
Yes, if you don't have the mutation, basically the risk is the same as a Caucasian. And of course, there's also a dose dependent. Even if you don't have the alcohol intolerance, uh, the risk will increase depending on the amount of alcohol you consume, right? You can consume on the average 1 drink per day or 2 or 3, and the risk will proportionally increase the amount.
All right. So from Marcia Chan, she says, her husband loves wine. When he drinks, his face flushes, but he apparently has no negative reactions in terms of feeling or behavior. He grew up in China where the drinking is socially almost required. He's lived in the US near Stanford, so doesn't have that kind of pressure here. Does that differ from those who turn red and feel bad? So I guess she's saying when he drinks, he turns red, but he doesn't feel the other symptoms.
Right. In fact, that's even more dangerous because what happened is that if he turns red, indicating his blood already has high concentration of the carcinogen acetaldehyde, it's just for some reason it becomes desensitized to the unpleasant feeling. And that does occur for many people. 1/3 of the heavy drinker who carries mutation don't feel any ear effect from flushing reaction. Means they have trained themselves to get used to the flushing unpleasant discomfort. So that's even more dangerous for people. If you feel discomfort like me, after one can of beer, my heart rate increase, I flush, my body feel warm, I usually will stop because it's not comfortable. But if you're exposed to alcohol, you flush every day, you drink and you get used to it. It's like you are not sensitized. You don't feel the pain anymore. So in other words, that's even more dangerous because these are the type of the people who will continue to drink more and more, and their cancer risks are much higher. So 1/3 of the heavy drinkers have a mutation. They don't feel discomfort after flushing. They do flush, indicating their level of carcinogen is very high in the blood. Their organ is exposed to carcinogen. It's just they don't feel the pain anymore. That makes
That's a
sense?
really, yeah, really important distinction. Thank you for asking that question, Marcia. Um, so then we have a question from Matt Parker. He asks, are there any ALDH enzyme supplements similar to how people with lactose intolerance can take enzyme supplements? I mean, I know myself, I've heard for a long time from people that they take Pepsid AC before they drink, and that seems somehow helps them. So yeah, I'd be interested to know the answer to this question as well.
Okay. Okay, so there are two types of remedies I can share with you. One is many people take Pepsi or the antihistamine to suppress the alcohol flushing reaction because it's similar to the allergy reaction. So you can suppress vasodilation by antihistamine or Pepsi, but again, that's not a good thing to do. Many college students do that before they go to party. They take, if you have children, take antihistamine, tell them don't do that, too dangerous. It's almost like you desensitize, the same thing that you don't feel pain. But the risk is there, the danger there. You're not removing the carcinogen. The number two thing is remedy. Many companies will market a supplement, say, oh, you can take probiotics, for example, before you go to drinking occasion. That would enhance your aldehyde detoxification. But none of them are really scientifically proven. Right now, there's really no enzyme like a lactase that you can take to supplement your lactose intolerance so you can eat ice cream. There's no such thing exists for the alcohol consumption. In my research, we do have a medicine that is in development that can reactivate this broken enzyme, and that's under clinical trial for medical disease use, not for alcohol drinking enabling. So really, I don't think there's currently any FDA or scientifically proven remedy that can effectively remove acetaldehyde after drinking and prevent you from flushing a reaction.
So we have two other quick questions. One is there a link for the Lancet article? Um, I think that was something that you mentioned.
Yes, yes, there's a link of the Lancet article. I think I put it on my slide. Um,
We can also, if it's possible to drop it in the chat, we can do that, or we can follow up via email and share it with people.
okay, let me see. I can share it in the chat here. I will copy in the chat.
Great.
Let me do it right away. The chat. Okay, do you see that? The link is shared in the chat, the Lancet paper.
It only says the Lancet, it just says the name of it.
Oncology 2021.
Yes.
Do you
Well, we
see the
can,
link?
I don't see a link, but what we
Oh,
can
it's
do
not a
is,
link. It's a journal.
oh, I see.
Yeah,
That's the
more than if
journal.
you just search that, you probably can find it. Yeah, it's not a
Okay,
link.
perfect.
It's the
Great.
name of the journal. Yeah, and the
Okay.
page.
And then Nicole is asking where she can get the patch to test for this mutation.
Just email me. I'm happy to email me and send me your address
And remind us what was it Chi Hong at,
at stanford.edu.
okay, I'm going to put that in
Yeah,
the
it's
chat.
like this, very simple.
Okay. And then, oh, I guess Marcia's asking if you would be willing to share the slides. I mean, I will say that we are recording this event, so we will put the entire event up on YouTube. Um,
Yes, I can share the slides as well. If people
okay,
need it, I will mail to you, email you.
fantastic. Um, great. I mean, let's see, another question. Oh, will any alcohol prep pad work for the
Oh, that's
test?
a good question. That's a good question. Yes, any alcohol patch will work as long as it's alcohol. It's called ethyl alcohol, but beware, there are two types of alcohol patch that are you can buy from drugstore. One is called isopropyl alcohol. Do not use isopropyl alcohol because it's different type of alcohol. It will not work.
Great.
So it has to be called ethyl alcohol. It's a drinking alcohol. To be frank, if you don't want to use alcohol patch, you have whiskey at home or you have red wine at home, you can use that. It will work also. Just wet the Band-Aid at the center of your Band-Aid, pour the whiskey a few drops until the center is wet, and then put the Band-Aid on your skin, have a good contact to your skin for about 10, 15 minutes, and see if you have a respite. Whiskey is about 40% alcohol. It's strong enough. Even red wine, I think anything more than 20% of alcohol will work.
Great. Okay. We have another question from Karen Yamashita. She says, I'm wondering if an Asian person could not have Asian flush when young, but develop it later upon aging.
Very rare, very rare. Usually you have it because this is genetic. You will inherit it either one copy from either parents. Some people are even worse. They inherited both copies because both their parents have alcohol intolerance, have the mutation. And so you're born with it. And so, in fact, you can test your children with alcohol patch tests, even teenagers. You don't need to ask them to drink alcohol because they are not allowed to drink alcohol. But you can use this Band-Aid test to see and educate them that at a young age, the teenager is. I have our ICAP. We have groups join us. They are high school students. We have 4 or 5 different high school students. They form their after-school club to go out to the community to tell their friends about alcohol intolerance, the danger of alcohol drinking. So I think this is a wonderful thing to do for our teenagers to educate when they are not reaching the legal drinking age yet.
So I actually have a question as well. So I'm wondering, the gene for the mutation, is it something that ever gets passed on but is not expressed in someone's genes? So, for example, like my mother does have the Asian flush, and my brother also has it, but I don't.
Yeah.
So, do you need to, is there some combination of genes that you need to pass it on, or how does that normally work?
This has to be very simple genetic rules. So when your mother has a mutation, your mother could be carrying one good copy and one bad copy. And the second scenario is that your mother will have both copies that are bad or mutated. In the second case, for sure, 100% of your mother's children will have at least one copy of the mutated gene. Now, your mother most likely only carry one mutated gene and one copy of good gene. And so happen that you're the lucky one, you get a good gene, your brother get a bad gene. Because your mother has these two genes and 50% of her children will have the mutation, 50% of her children will not have the mutation. So it looks like you didn't inherit the mutated gene. Of course, it also depends on your father's combination. In this case, your father can also be a normal person with two functional genes or one mutated gene or two mutated genes. And the genetic test will figure it out. Then you have to do a family test.
Right. Well, in my case, my dad's Irish, so I probably got some, normal drinking genes from him. Thank you for answering that question. Well, so we're getting close to the end of our time. Last call, if anyone else has a final question or comment they'd like to make before we end the program for tonight. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions. Oh wait, is there one more? Just thank you from Serena. A lot of thank yous. Okay, here's a question. Um, do you have any insight into why this gene mutation developed?
Very, very good question. Very good scientific. Why so many people? And so we believe that the way it spreads so fast and infects 6 million people. That's like 9% of all population. We believe that there may be some biological advantage having this gene in terms of evolution, human evolution. When we have a mutation that spreads so fast, so wide, usually biologically there's some advantage, selective advantage. In this case, there's no proven advantage yet, but I suspect that it's protecting the East Asian people against a tropical disease. Very common epidemics. So I think that's how it evolved. This person, even though he cannot drink, he will get cancer, but he's protected against some tropical disease. Because when we look at the map, it's mainly in the tropical area. The hotter, the warmer place you go, the more people carry this mutation.
Great. Thank you
But
so
we are doing
much.
research to figure out why this mutation, so many people have this mutation. There must be some goodness about having this mutation. It's not all bad.
It's nice to think about it in those terms.
They wouldn't even think to have any testing done. But it's known now, so there's some talk.
Um, let's see. I think we have maybe one or two other very quick questions. Um, do South Asians or Indians have this gene? Have you found that in your research?
South Asian, Indian don't have. I think this mutation is very specific to the East Asian population. It because gene is very big. There's a long DNA sequence. It happens on the same spot. I believe South Asian and other race, they also have mutation in the ALDH2 gene, but it's not in the same spot, and it's not very common. So we do know that there are people who also have flushing reaction. They also may have ALDH mutation, but it's on a different spot in the DNA sequence of the ALDH2 gene. But it's not common. And that's also an area of research I'm doing. We are trying to study people who are non-Asians, but they do have the alcohol flushing reaction. In other words, there are other types of ALDH2 mutation. Is that this type of the East Asian is the most common one?
Okay, and one final question. Um, Lori asks, if you don't have flushing, is it possible to still have the mutated gene?
Um, yes, very rarely, very rarely. We do have people who reported they do not flush, but when we sequence them, they do have the mutation. In other words, the genetic network is very complicated. In a rare case, we can have people who do not flush but still have the mutation. That's possible, although very, very rare.
Great. All right. Well, I think we'll end things there. Thank you so much, Dr. Chen. This has been an incredibly informative program. I know that our audience tonight has really appreciated everything they learned. And thank you to Sheila as well for bringing you to SAPAAC. You're welcome back anytime. And we're so glad that you were here with us tonight.
Yeah, my thanks to all audience. Thank you for joining us. I hope you are very pleasant evening and don't drink.
Yes, and best of luck with all of your work. We'll be excited to learn more as you make more breakthroughs.
Yes. All
Thank you,
right.
Jihong.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Katie.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Good
Thank you,
night.
Sheila.
Good night. Thank you.